2024 continues its strong start in February, as there are well more than 10 games worth recommending for purchase. We honestly struggled to cut the list down because we were waffling on whether to include remasters or not. But after a lot of thought, we deliver to you the games worth buying in February 2024, with ratings from both SIFTD Editorial and its users. Most people know Granblue Fantasy as a solid RPG franchise that used to live on mobile, but that game's success has allowed the studio that created it to dream big. And dream big it has. There's already 2 fighting games using the name, and now Granblue Fantasy Relink is here to take the series back to its roots. It's an RPG, but much more active than its mobile predecessor, as you and a group of friends stride through the world, taking on challenges that are presented on the fly. It's fast, fun, and somehow completely unique in a crowded field. If you're a fan of Japanese RPGs, then you already know the Persona franchise is one of the best. Its intoxicating mix of schoolyard charm and demonic possession isn't a recent revelation. All the games in the franchise generally share those traits, including Persona 3. This PS2/PSP era JRPG established many of the franchise's tenets, like its daily life simulation elements, social hooks, and much more. Fans have been begging for this game to be re-released, but Reload provides the bonus of vastly improved anime visuals. You'll definitely get your money's worth with this gigantic game. It's been a bumpy ride for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Once a shoo-in Game of the Year candidate thanks to the pedigree of its Batman Arkham developer, Rocksteady Studios, a few delays and complaints about it being a game as a service have tarnished its superhero reputation. It may not be as good as hoped, nor as bad, but it is a third-person cooperative shooter that turns the DC world upside down by making former heroes the bad guys. Expect plenty of snark and a tired trigger finger as you take down DC's finest. Not long ago, PlayStation announced that it was working on 10 different games as a service to be launched before the end of the 2025 fiscal year. Time is running out, but the first game in this initiative is finally here. Helldivers II is a cooperative sci-fi bug blaster where you team up with friends to take on critters that defy description. It's all wrapped up in a Starship Troopers coating that gives it some tongue-in-cheek flair. Importantly, the game will also be available for PC, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about empty lobbies for the foreseeable future. And the first batch of DLC has already been shared, so it's guaranteed to live on. Action RPGs have taken over the industry, and essentially made the old-school action-adventure borderline extinct. Developer Don't Nod is no stranger to this genre, with its last effort being the sleeper hit Vampire. In a similar vein, get it, comes Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden. This story-driven game is set in a supernatural 17th century, where you're hunting ghosts with a partner. Not dissimilar to the Conjuring film franchise, except you must sacrifice the living to keep your betrothed alive. Nintendo has so many stinking franchises that we often forget about some of them. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is definitely one of those. This little-known puzzle platformer was first birthed for the Game Boy Advance way back in 2004, before making appearances on the Wii U and 3DS. It's been completely rebuilt from the ground up for Switch, and so while the graphics are a gigantic leap from the original, you're also getting a ton of new content. You get 2 completely new worlds to play through, with the added bonus of the Switch's duality. Are you able to remember Skull and Bones? We completely forgive you if you don't. It was initially announced way back at E3 2017, and most people have just assumed that it was quietly cancelled. But Ubisoft has stuck with it and reworked the game multiple times to make it more than just an entire game built around the ship combat in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. It's a full-fledged standalone release, and best of all, if you don't believe us, you can find out for yourself by playing its free open beta that runs the week before it launches. Do you remember Stephen King's book Christine, where a car comes to life and goes on a murderous rampage? Well, that's kind of what you get in Pacific Drive, except the car doesn't want to kill you, it wants to help you. As you navigate a surreal reimagining of the Pacific Northwest, you'll need to upgrade your jalopy to keep it happy and helpful. Like most survival games, You'll need to gather resources and use them for crafting as you try to unravel a long-standing supernatural mystery while staying safe from deadly radiation. We went back and forth on including the Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons remake in this rundown, but the original game is so good, we just couldn't resist. What appears to be an unassuming cooperative game where you control two brothers at once quickly spirals into one of the most emotional video games from the Xbox 360 era. It's old enough that a lot of you may have never played it or just don't remember it, but you definitely remember its lead developer, Joseph Fares, who's become a bit of an industry celebrity over the last half-decade with his F the Oscars rant. While the first Final Fantasy VII Remake took some liberties, it mostly stuck to the script of the original game. This makes sense considering the skepticism around it, but all bets are off with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This completely reimagined take on the second act of the PlayStation 1 original has hinted at major departures from the plot in its various trailers, including a hint at possible dual realities and parallel worlds. The good news is that we've already seen more than enough common elements to trip our nostalgia triggers, and with the drastically improved graphics and other modern contrivances, you can sign us up right now for its leap year day release on February 29th. Thanks for checking out our rundown of games worth buying in February 2024. If you like our content, please consider heading to patreon.com/sifted, where we're supported 100% by pledges from fine people just like you. And if you want to find your next favorite game, head on over to sifted.net, where you tell us what you care about, and we deliver you a custom feed of content. Can the momentum continue in March? Check back with us next month and find out.